How are my kitchen peeps doing? Today we're gonna make another side dish, I know, repeat after me, wait for it, easy vegetable dish. I guess that seems to be like the only thing I know how to make. But it's not all I know how to make, but it's pretty much what I prefer to make on evenings when I have to get supper on the table and don't have a lot of time. So, for those new, I'm Maggie. It's not my real name, it's my grandma's name. My real name's Dana, but I go by Maggie with my grandkids, and I want everybody to learn how to cook like a grandma because we all know grandmas are the best cooks. So that's why I decided to kind of use my grandma name on here. So anywho, not that you care about any of that. Today we're gonna talk about this beauty. Who knows what it is? Raise your hand. Come on, come on, come on. That is a rutabaga. And I know some of you going, a rutabaga? And others are going, ugh. Some are saying, yeah, never had one, don't want one. Y'all have no idea what you're missing. No idea what you're missing. These are awesome. They're the brassica family, kind of along the turnip side. Some people say kind of a cabbage flavor. I'm not sure I can really tell you a flavor, but they're awesome. They're awesome, awesome. I've been eating these since I was tiny, tiny, tiny. I can remember my mom serving them when I was like 4, and I'm not even kidding, because we lived in Shreveport. When we lived in Shreveport, I was like 4 years old, and I remember having them. That's how much they made an impression on me, and I've eaten them all my life, and I love them. I went on a limb and served them in my restaurant last week, and I had a lot of what? And a lot of, oh my God, those are amazing. So let's introduce possibly a new vegetable to your repertoire, and it's awesome. I'm doing my typical, how much do I love bacon? My happy bacon, but bacon and rutabaga. It's easy, it's flavorful, it's got good nutrition. Rutabagas are high in antioxidants, they're high in fiber, they're low in calories, so it's a really good thing. You can use them like a potato. You could make like a scallop dish. They're really good that way, like you would do scallop potatoes, but you use rutabagas. You can mash them, do like a mashed potato kind of thing. I do mash turnips sometimes, but turnips are a little more watery and have a stronger flavor, so rutabagas actually work better. If you're trying to pull one over, you can mix your rutabagas and your potatoes to make a mashed potato. People would know the difference. So anyway, I'm gonna turn the camera down, stop talking about all the ways you can use them, but just think potato and go for it. They make great little hash browns. Those are pretty fun. They can go in soups and casseroles and all kinds of good stuff. And they're not expensive. And you can get really good, clean, organic ones really cheaply. So, what I have done, I've got, let me look, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. I've got 2 pounds of rutabagas here. Let me see if I can get my camera turned down. Are we not gonna cooperate? No, we're gonna be, there we go. Okay. Now, so I already cut one up, or some up, and here's another one. I've peeled them, obviously. You see, that's what it looks like with the skin on. And I didn't take the time to, peel on the camera. But you want to peel it just like you would peel a potato. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. They are maybe a little bit more firm than a potato when you're cutting them. But, I mean, they're so similar, it's not even funny. And here's the thing, when you're doing this, you can do, whoa, that was dangerous. You can do whatever size you want. I've done them sometimes in really big cubes. Doesn't change the flavor at all. It really just changes the cooking time. I've gotten to where, being as efficient as I am, not as impatient as my husband sometimes wants to tell me I am. Gotten to where I cut things a lot smaller, because the smaller they are, the faster they cook. And if there's no like real requirement in your recipe for a certain size or whatever, but even in that, good golly, do what you want to do at your own dadgum kitchen. I kind of like them in little squares like this. You want to try and get them as uniform as possible. I mean, not to the milliliter, that's volume, millimeter. But you want them close, because size matters when you're cooking them. Ooh, like those are gonna be really little, and that's not good. The smaller they are, the faster they cook, as we just said. Goodness gracious, I have no knife skills right now. So some are going to cook a lot faster. They might get a little mushier, which is not really a bad thing. You have some really soft, some a little more firm, no big deal. But that's our 2 pounds. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pause real quick. We're going to scoot over to the stove and I'll show you what's next. Okay, we're back. As you can see and hear, I've got some bacon. I only did 1 piece of bacon. And you know what? I'm deciding that's a big fat mistake. Oh, what the crud I was thinking. I'm going to pause and cut up another piece of bacon. I didn't use one of my little frozen packets because it's more than I wanted. I'm not doing quite as much rutabaga. So this really needs 2. You could go with 1, but we got to have some bacon. So hold that thought. I'll be back in a chip. Okay, we're back. I threw in another piece of bacon. That's going to be much better. But again, y'all, this is one of those things that you can do. If you want even more bacon, throw in another piece. It's really however you want to do it. It's not so much a hard and fast recipe as it is a combination of good ingredients that you can just adjust to your preference. I mean, however you want to do it. That's some loud bacon too. And you know what I do want to do? I'm going to add just a tad bit more bacon grease out of my handy dandy trusty little pitcher because I just want a little more. That's probably a tablespoon maybe. And then I'm going to let this render down a bit. But I will pause so y'all don't have to sit here and watch bacon render. I think I said in another video, it's like watching paint dry. I mean, it's not super exciting. But I'm going to let this render down, and then we're going to add about a scant 1/4 cup of trilogy. Let it cook down till it's translucent. Then we'll get our rutabaga in there, some salt and pepper. I've got about 1/3 cup of chicken stock I'm going to pour over it. Put a lid on it and just let it cook down for probably, I don't know, 30 minutes. This is one of those super easy things that you can throw together, especially if you have your bacon already cut up, you have your trilogy prepared. If you pre-prep your rutabaga, which you could do on your prep time on the weekends or whatever time you do your prepping, have all this stuff ready. It's just a matter of getting it into the pot in those series of steps and then putting a lid on it while you do other things. So it's really a great side dish that way. We're going to be having it tonight. I'm actually making, while that's cooking, I'll show y'all real quick. Let me turn this camera around. Check out that booger. Can you see it? That is like, it's got bacon grease in it that's kind of set out. That's why it looks funky. That is like the biggest, most ginormous cast iron skillet kind of with helper handle things. Ooh, I got it for Christmas. I'm so excited. I am going to make a chicken and sausage dish in that in a little while. That's going to be our supper. Tell you what. Well, let's see. We're not quite close enough to get the trilogy in, so we'll give it another minute or 2. So hold on. All right, the bacon's at a better spot. See, it's starting to get a little brown. Got quite a bit of grease rendered out of it. We don't want it to brown and get crispy like you would bacon, you know, that you're eating for breakfast. So now, get our trilogy in there. This combination, I think I've mentioned before, is like the perfect vegetable combination in the world. You could take this and now throw in some fresh or frozen string beans. See how that cold trilogy just takes that heat down so fast. I'm going to turn it up just a tad because we want our onion to cook just a little bit. Oh my gosh, it smells good. But anyway, what I was saying was, you know, like our chard video, you can throw your chard in there now, put some string beans in there, Brussels sprouts. Ooh, Brussels sprouts are really good like this. It's just a really good combination, both nutrition-wise and especially flavor-wise. All right. We're going to let this, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and get a little salt. Probably about, I don't know, I'm going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon because I can always come back and add, but I'm not going to get it out. And about a 1/2 teaspoon, maybe a little more, of pepper. let that cook down just a tad. Y'all, we need a smell-o-vision. This smells so good. It's unbelievable. Let's see, I got my chicken stock right here, some homemade chicken stock. Had it in the freezer, took it out. I needed some for this chicken dish I'm doing later, and I needed it for this and something else I'm working on. So I thought, well, let's just get it out, thaw it out, and be ready. Ooh, that looks so good. All right, now we're gonna add our rutabaga. And you just want to stir it around, kind of get everything coated good with the bacon and the onion and the seasoning. And since I use the Trilogy, I've already got garlic in here. If you like garlic, add more. It's amazing with extra garlic. That is never a problem. At least it's not in our house. All right, kind of get it good and mixed up. We're gonna add our little bit of chicken stock. And then I'm going to turn it down on kind of a medium-ish low, stick the lid on it, and fight my camera. Oh, there we go. And it'll go, like I said, about 30 minutes, and I'll come back and I'll show y'all when check it and all this stuff. And it is so good. You're going to love it. And I'll tell you a funny little story, because I'm always getting on my high horse or my soapbox or whatever you want to call it about getting your kids to eat vegetables and just make them eat them. Just make them. I mean, they're your kids. Anyway, my grandson, my oldest grandson, who's about to be 16, Lord have mercy. Anyway, when he was little, he was probably about 4. He was at the house. He came in from outside, and rutabaga, I was cooking a bunch of it, I remember that time. It's got a distinct smell. Not a bad smell, but it's a distinct smell. And he walks in and he's like, Maggie, what is that? That stinks. I said, it's rutabaga. Oh, I don't like rutabaga. I said, Connor, you love rutabaga. You loved it when you had it here last time. You ate a ton of it. You love rutabaga. What do you mean you don't like it? And he kind of looked at me and he said, I did? I said, yes, you did. You loved it. That was kind of the end of the conversation. He went on about his business. Later on, when we sat down for dinner, put a pile of rutabaga on his plate, and he kind of, a little bit hesitant at first, but he started eating. He's like, oh, Maggie, this is so good. I love it. And he's just on and on and on. Scarfed it down, had another serving. And here's the funny part, the punchline. He'd never had it. Yes, I told a little white lie, but it was a little white lie for his benefit. I just told him, you like rutabaga. I was like, don't tell me you don't like it. You've never had it. You're just going by what you think you smell. And he ate it. And he loved it. And it was all good. So, sorry, OCD here. I'm putting the lid on my Trilogy. The point of that, the moral of the story is, don't let your kids talk you out of what they do or do not like. You need to help develop their palate. Introduce them to things. And don't make it optional. I mean, they're kids. They need to learn and they need you to teach them. So it's not an option. I cook, you eat. That's how it works. So anyway, I'll stop. I want to take you over here and show you something real quick. Ooh, that big fat pan I was showing you, I am going to put, this is what I've been prepping today, if I can show you. Yikes. This is terrible. That is, which one do we look at? Lord have mercy. We've got some wine, some red wine vinegar, some peppercini, some cherry peppers, and some oregano. And then this is fresh jalapeno, garlic, onion, bell pepper. It's a new recipe I found. I cannot wait. I'm going to sear some leg quarters, cook down the peppers and the onion in that. Add some smoked sausage. Yes, you guessed it, Mahaffey smoked sausage. This stuff is to die for. And then put in the other peppers, put it in that big Mama Jam pot I just showed you, and stick in the oven. I cannot wait. Oh, and I got some little baby potatoes, some little buttercream potatoes that are going to go in there too. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. So we're going to have that. We're going to have our rutabaga, and then another dish I got to figure out. So anyway, spazzing out here over this dish. I'm super excited about it. But I'm gonna stop. We'll come back in a little while when the rutabaga is done so I can show you what it looks like. But that's all there is to it, y'all. So easy, see how easy? So stay tuned and you'll see the finished product. All right, we're back. The rutabaga is done, y'all. It is so good. I haven't tasted it yet. I'm gonna dig in as soon as I'm done with this video. Well, I'll just have a few samples and then we're gonna have it for supper. But I'll let you see what it looks like. Let's see if I can get this turned down. How's that? Okay, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All that bacon. And I don't know if you can tell, but when they cook down, they almost get a little, I don't want to say, almost kind of translucent, but see how easy it just cuts with that little wooden spoon? Oh my gosh, my mouth's watering. It's ridiculous. And I'll tell you something else with this. Oh, it's going to be so dadgum good for supper. I was running around the kitchen doing some other things, and I almost let my liquid all cook out because I had my fire up too high. Whoops. And that's not a bad thing. That's another way you can kind of do these. You can keep them with the liquid in there, and I just added a tiny more chicken stock because that's the way I want to do them today. But if you want to cook all the liquid out, you can either turn your fire up too high and walk away like I did. I wouldn't recommend that. Or when they're almost done, take your lid off, turn your fire up a little bit, kind of stay with them. The liquid will boil out and they'll sort of caramelize. They'll get that browned, kind of candied, almost caramelized texture to whatever's on the bottom. You can stir those around, do them a little more. That's a really good way to eat them too. Not tremendously different from this, but a little bit different texture and maybe a little bit more, I don't know, intense flavor. I don't know how to describe it. But it's just another little nuanced way to cook them. But that's it. Rutabaga, Rutabaga. You will love them. Eat the rainbow. It's a new vegetable that you can add to your repertoire when you're doing your menu planning and you sit down. I'm just going to use my example as always. Sit down on Saturday morning, you're planning your menu out. Have a nice roast, some rutabaga and some rice or some chard or some spinach or some kale or some collards or mustards or broccoli or whatever, some kind of green thing. You always need a green thing. They go with everything. Beef roast, pork chops, everything. So give them a shot. I think you'll really enjoy them. Let me know. Like, hug, tap, clap, all the stuff. Do the stuff. As we always say, do the stuff on the video. And stay with us for more little kitchen thingies that you can do and introduce to your family. So y'all have a great one.